Hello and welcome to the Screen Time Continuum. It's a wonderful Sunday. My name is Keelan and I am here with the fellas. Nick, what's going on, brother?
Hey man, I'm well. How are you? Happy Sunday.
I'm well. Happy Sunday. Mike, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling fantastic. Thank you for asking.
Did you say fancy and fantastic?
I like fancy now that you said it, but I said fantastic.
I just wanted to make sure I heard you because if you said fancy and fantastic, that was going to be a highlight. We were going to make sure to cover that. But I understand.
I'm
Welcome,
indubitably well.
indubitably well. Welcome to the Screen Time Continuum, guys. And it's Sunday, of course, and we are here to review the 2023 Bert Kreischer movie, The Machine. Interesting movie, something worth talking about. If you have not seen The Machine, it is currently showing on Netflix. And this is your spoiler warning because this movie just came out. I don't think there's people who will be interested in this movie who aren't familiar with what this movie is about. This movie is based on a stand-up routine that Bert has been using since, I guess, the beginning of his stand-up. And it's really what introduced, I guess, everybody to him. But this movie covers that. We'll talk about that beat by beat in a minute. But here is your spoiler warning. That's all you get because all of that is obvious by the title and the what is that thing that we watch to introduce movies?
Trailer?
The trailer. But
Yeah.
yeah, after this, you're gonna get everything you need to know about this movie. Oh yeah. Yeah. Nick, what do you can you help us out with some of the specifics about the 2023 movie The Machine? Because I don't
Sure. Yeah. The Machine premiered May 26, 2023. It's directed by Peter Atencio. It's written by Bert Kreischer, Kevin Beagle, and Scotty Lands. It stars Bert Kreischer, Mark Hamill, Jimmy Tatro, Iva Babick, Robert Massar, and Stephanie Kurtzuba. And the synopsis for this movie is Bert's drunken past catches up with him 20 years down the road when he and his father are kidnapped by those Bert wronged 20 years ago while drunk on a college semester abroad in Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly what the joke made you think the movie would be about. And yeah, I guess we can get into some initial first thoughts. I actually never thought this would be an actual movie. Like conceptually, you hear the routine, and you think like, okay, that would make a good movie. But ideally, the movie you want it to be, long, drawn out, this kid raging through a train and raging through Russia. But realistically, you can't get that, and understandably so. I've actually heard Bert explain that before, like, hey, I don't want it done that way because that's too, that movie's been done before. Let's do it a different way. And my first thought would be they definitely did a different movie. And yeah, I mean, it was funny. It was good. I liked it. At the same time, they really made this movie. Yeah, I don't know. But visually, the movie, it was pretty nice. Can't really, not too much to comment on. It was really what I expected it to be, but then a little bit more. I do like the way they spun it and the way it went, but there were some things that are worth discussing. And one begs to say that this is definitely a girl dad movie. Yeah. None of us, are having that discussion right now. I'm just saying.
What's the girl dad movie?
That's what I was going to ask.
God dang it. All right, fine. It feels like this movie was made with his daughters in mind, not just because it's a part of the story.
Oh,
I don't.
How do you figure?
Certain choices in the storyline, certain things that were repeated over and over and over. Not that I had a problem with him even. That's the ironic part. But just things that were consistently brung up with certain characters. One of the main characters, in fact, and then the ending.
Because it was an apology to his daughter, to a degree,
To a degree.
and a protection story.
Okay, there
Is
you
that
go.
what you mean?
Ooh,
he,
look at that.
he didn't even know until you filled in those blanks.
You know what? I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
He said, "Oh yeah, I'll take that." Okay, cool. Yeah.
I'll take all of that addition he did. But no, honestly,
Well, I mean,
that's the direction you saw it. I didn't have labels for what I saw. I'm just like, okay, this movie's definitely begging to the, hey, my daughter, make sure my daughter understands this, and then the other character having their issue with their father and being a girl, so a daughter. Don't act like I didn't see what I saw just because you can articulate it better.
Okay. Fair enough.
I don't like that. I can use
all right,
words. But
with meanings.
that's it. It's my first impressions. What more do you want me to explain? Meaning, next.
All right. I thought it was pretty funny, to be fair. He got kidnapped by a Russian meth head, and that was pretty funny to me. I mean, they said she was on the spectrum, but I thought it was just meth. It's pretty funny.
What
I'm
are we
not arguing
talking
with you.
about?
You want me to ask you to explain more, or ask you how do you figure? Like,
No, that's my whole first impression. It's funny. And
Oh,
he
that's
got
it?
kidnapped by a Russian meth head.
I thought you were waiting for a segue. He's like, no, that's it.
No.
That's the whole- that's it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have a deep story behind it.
I did appreciate one thing that I think is hilarious, but
Beard.
he also said again.
I said Beert.
I appreciated one thing that also kind of rolls back into, I guess, just the softness thing of America, yada yada yada, which comes up through this movie quite a bit. The notion of Bert being fat being brung up through this is like, oh yeah, so that's still just gonna be a trope you run with and everything.
Hey, men with titties is a real thing.
It is, and
Are we allowed to say that?
Sure.
why not?
Oh,
No,
Because
don't
it's
ask him. Don't ask him. Don't ask him. Why not?
That's all I wanted to know.
everybody.
Men with titties.
Hey, I got him. I ain't offended.
There you go.
Me and him got the same shape. Beer can.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nick, what were your first impressions?
Well, I don't know. I think it's fine as a movie. Not. I don't know. I wasn't really blown away by it. Bert Kreischer doesn't translate to movies very well, and this felt like a little bit like a reprisal of like a wannabe Judd Apatow movie. But I was mentioning to Mike before we started the show. I think comedy's dead.
Hey,
I think
they said that
comedy's-
about R&B at the beginning of the year. Maddo.
It is.
Be careful who you pull out the woodwork saying certain things.
Okay, well, I'm not talking about R&B. I'm talking about comedy, and I think it's dead. I think this movie earnestly tries to revive it, but I just don't think that it can manage to do that. I'm trying to think of movies that I think are funny in the past 5 years. I don't know. I don't think that there are many at all. This movie tries its hardest to be funny, and I think its earnesty is what endeared me to it. But I got maybe a couple chuckles and then a whole lot of sort of eye rolling at the running joke, and a little bit of the dialogue and the writing made me feel like the way Judd Apatow used to make things, like if you talk fast, then you're funny. I don't really. I don't know. I didn't think that it was all that great. It was an enjoyable movie to watch. I didn't necessarily think that it dragged or anything like that, but it's also one of those movies where I kind of feel bad because I know that, he wanted to make sort of like a highly comedic movie, but I just don't know if we can do that anymore. And I don't think it's his fault. I just think that, like, I don't know if it's possible to make a hilarious movie anymore.
Well, one, it's not, because you have to add the elements that sell the movie, and most of those drag the movie down. But exactly what you're saying is why I was surprised that this actually became a movie, because I've heard Bert share that exact sentiment that you just stated. Like, there's so many avenues and cuts and yeses and nos and flags here, and oh, we got to make sure we don't hurt anybody's feelings, and oh, we got to make sure that there's a victim in the situation. Like, it's just oh, where's the hero story? Oh, hey, add this in there too. Those were the things that I think made it hard. Like, for instance, like for me, when Mike says, you know, oh, it's a protection story, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll add that. No, I don't know where the protection story is in this, but hey, I'm waiting to, you know, I'm willing to hear on that. But what I saw was, am I, you know, still valid towards even adding that point to it? And it's that I can agree with exactly what you're saying, Nick. I think it's that wave that made this movie interesting to that point of you saying that. Like, that's what drew you to the movie.
Well, the
it's
protection,
that uncertainty of how funny this can go. Really quick, sorry, Mike, but it's that uncertainty of how funny this could be. At the same time of, okay, I have the basis of the story. Like, I know the foundation because I saw the stand-up routine already. It's like, all right, I'll give it a go. I can see exactly how that plays into the intrigue.
No, I wasn't intrigued. I'm telling you, I didn't find it that funny because I don't think comedy movies can be funny.
No,
I don't think we can make them anymore.
When you said that, that's what drew you to the movie. One of the things that drew you into the movie, like, okay, it has that element. I'm not saying that you enjoyed it. I'm not saying you enjoyed it. I'm not trying to change.
No, I didn't not enjoy it. I'm just saying that my whole point of that, what I said, was that I'm just not sure that comedy movies can be made anymore. I think the movie does it earnestly, but I don't know. It doesn't hit the way they used to. That's all.
Right. Yeah. Just a curiosity. What were you saying, Mike?
I was just gonna say that the protection aspect comes in because the underlying threat from DJ Chemo to his daughter.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. And obviously his dad protecting him, and
right,
yeah, all that stuff, and him going because he's trying to protect his daughter.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I thought he had a gun to his head. Yep. See. Nope. Wasn't that deep for me. But yeah.
I think both of you are ruining this movie for me.
I'm not trying to. I think that you should like it if you like it. I
did.
Yeah, okay.
You guys are bringing me down.
I liked it.
Keelan said he liked it. It's just me, man. I'm sorry. I'm being a gloomy guess.
I think I liked it, but because, again, or what I believe is I've heard, this discussion of whether or not this movie would be made. Then hearing Nick's criticism, it's like, no, that's the same criticism the movie had. So having the movie being made is interesting enough to make me watch it. And I thought Nick was saying the same thing, but he wasn't, and that's fine. That was the end of that statement. So now we can get into the actual. Let's get into this movie, man. We over here just batting around the opinion stick. But this movie, The Machine, it begins where we see a Russian casino and we see the owner angry at the machine for stealing from him, and he says he's going to get what he stole. A very fast point in this movie is Bert's past, his fat, sloppy drunkenness has caused all kind of crisis in his life. But something that I saw missed very big in this movie was it also made him filthy freaking rich. I think that's only mentioned like in the last 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes of this movie by Bert. Like, oh, the only thing it's ever done for me is made you filthy rich. Made you. Okay, got it. Not saying that he's oblivious to it, but just an interesting. It's like, is it that terrible? I mean, I understand he got you fictionally kidnapped in your 40s, but I guess good for plot. It took me a few minutes to get past that. Once I got past that, I could enjoy the movie. But at first, I was like, "No, you got filthy rich. What are you complaining about?" We see a montage of Bert's rise and fall. We see the machine started it all when it went viral. And in therapy, Bert and his family are there. He denies everything is going bad because him and his father have a shit relationship. But his wife and even his children believe that that relationship is the cause of his disconnect with his children and just him thinking that one thing is the fault, but not realizing where the real issue is and what he really needs to fix in his life. Real coming home story. You got to grow up at some point, kind of thing.
Yeah, except for your family says "fuck you" and then deuces and leaves the
Deuces.
Like,
Everybody's acting like a cunt, but nobody wants to admit that they are.
Yeah.
And I think that's what was irritating me at the beginning of this movie. Like everybody was being so obnoxious, but at the same time, it's like, hey, what the rest of y'all do for a living?
Sit around and spend his money.
Like, what's going on here? And that could just be begged to the fact we didn't get enough of the family story. Like maybe we could have saw after the montage of his rise and fall, or in between some scenes of him not being at family events or things like that, and then having this whole situation happen with the daughter and the arrest and everything that we get details on later. That it's montaged in the montage, but we get the details later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess maybe that's why that was kind of irritating me, because it was like they were just being simply ungrateful. Like he throws a party for his daughter, she's leaving to go to Big Bear in the middle of the party without saying anything, and everybody's
She's mad. She's mad at him because he threw a bigger party than she wanted.
Which I understood that I did.
I don't. Not for a 16-year-old girl or whatever.
What 16-year-old girl doesn't love attention?
And like a big party.
I guess one in 2023.
The one that needs to be disappointed in her father for doing nothing but being a good father.
Good, successful parent. Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing is, we'll talk about the reason that she's so upset with him.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like all the kids are all upset, and the mother is really fueling it. She's enabling their temper tantrum, because no matter what they say and what he does, it's like he's wrong. And it's like, yo.
Man, he's in therapy for them.
They're in therapy. The scene in therapy, I understand how they built that for it to seem just like him and his dad going back and forth. The issue there would be, is anybody listening to the words or just seeing the reaction or the interaction? Both sides. That was never discussed. Again, things that make me like, hey, if you're gonna bring it up, let's have the therapeutic discussion on screen if we're gonna have therapy on screen.
He's basically Homer Simpson in this movie.
Ooh.
Mega Homer Simpson.
But
a Homer Simpson that has bought his family a multi-million-dollar mansion in Hollywood.
Homer works at a nuclear power plant. He owns a home.
That's true.
Yeah. But he's the biggest goof, the biggest doofy ever anywhere. And they point it out constantly. So, I mean.
Yeah. They don't let it go.
Right.
And he saved the town a few times, if we're being honest.
Right.
But Homer is a doof a lot of the time.
Until he has that crayon removed and we find out he's really a genius.
That's true. But there's nothing to assume that Bert is a goof. He's just, I don't know.
Well, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to remove the crayon. And the crayon is removed much later, but we'll get to that. So, yeah, he's in denial about the relationship effects between his kids and his father. And then we see that the wife really just wants Bert to go back on stage and work. And he's like, no, my house life is shit. Let me figure this out, because we got money for now. Like, I don't need to go do that. Like, oh, it makes you happy. Does it?
It makes us more money.
That's it. That's it. That's how I looked at it.
You're around too much. We want you out of here.
It was like,
you know what? And that's the impression I got too.
Yeah.
She needs more time with the pool boy.
Right.
Oh, my bad. I talked right over you. What'd you say, Mike?
I said she needs more time with the pool boy.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Maybe there is a Sancho involved. Who knows?
He is Sancho.
His dad arrives at the party, though, and immediately starts pressing him about burgers, doing his little... Which, that's the only time he did that in the entire movie.
Right.
Thank God. I mean,
I'm
it's
so glad. Yeah,
so weird.
it's the only thing he did, which let you know he was really doing it to annoy him.
Yeah.
You know. But he was doing the popping thing, started messing with him about the burgers, totally threw his game off, made him shuffle one of the burgers in half. And it's like, yeah, that's what happens when you start listening to other people. Period. You walk up on my grill, I don't care what you don't like. Hey, you want to? I hand you the spatula, but all that yabber ain't gonna have to cut back. We can talk about something else.
I think there was a few times I wanted to punch Luke right in the face.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's
Just
such a
uppercut.
bad actor, man. I mean, he needs to stick to voicing the Joker, and that's it. That's what he's good at.
Which he doesn't do.
I think that's part of the charm in this movie for him, though.
He gets to be mischievous.
No, he's just a terrible actor.
Oh, well, yeah. He is Mark Hamill.
He did lots of drugs, though.
But he gets to be Mark Hamill.
Right.
I think
he's not
everything. That's it. Like, he was Luke. Without seeing his face, he's the Joker, and everything else, he's just
Mark Hamill.
What was he in Jay and Silent Bob?
Mark Hamill.
No.
Yep.
He played. There you go, cock knocker. Yeah.
Mark Hamill with a fake lightsaber and a fat hand.
Yeah.
I think those aren't those. Never mind. That's sorry. Anyway. So yeah, we also find out that his dad doesn't believe the machine story. He thinks it's all make believe, and he clearly doesn't think Bert's funny because I can't believe people pay to see you on stage. And he paid 5 times. Who does that?
A fan? Right.
Being famous.
It didn't come off as very believable as to why any of his family would be disappointed with him. He's wildly successful.
You know what? What it was painting for me, especially the way he's successful off of just being him. Mm-hmm. Like, even in real life, if any of it is like, yo, he's all these things you don't like, millions of dollars.
Right.
What it made me really think was there's probably a different side that a lot of comedians particularly deal with, where it's like the family expects them to be one person, the society expects them to be one person, and then you have all these different scenarios that come up, and it's like, yeah, sometimes I'm at home for X amount of time, sometimes I'm on the road for X amount of time, but nowhere, like even at home, they're just like, okay, when are you leaving again? Type shit.
Rude.
But we think about, you've heard that story before. That's what the whole family, even with the end, and it's like, okay, 3 days changed the whole temperature. It's like, oh, now everybody's cool after 3 days. Everybody needed time away or space away from each other. But yeah, we'll get to the end of the 3 days. That's just my synopsis as far as the family structure part goes. And not saying that they would be unhappy or disappointed with him, but just, oh, you started doing these things and then these things got out of control, because the whole point of this is Bert never really changed. He was the same Bert. He was just Bert in a different scenario, and people didn't like the new scenario he was being Bert in. If we really that's Bert from the beginning, all the stories we heard all the way through the end, it's the same Bert. It's Bert that had to accept that everybody else had to accept Bert for Bert.
But they did. But do they though?
The family, I don't think so. But the rest of the world, yeah.
Maybe the dad. That's like really the only difference, right?
The real breakthrough was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the family,
that was the whole point of the movie, is he needed a huge breakthrough with Papa.
Right. Because the family feels a bit like an afterthought. Maybe that's the statement, right? It's like they don't need to be focused on as much. It's just really the dad.
Yeah, they just needed a day or two from each other, and they were fine.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, like we said, Madison leaves. Oh, Bert and Dad are kidnapped by Irina. Irina is the daughter of the head mobster in all of Russia. And or at least from what we can tell, she has a bodyguard named Sponge, and we're thinking, oh, like absorbs water is what Bert asked him. He goes, no, I absorb bullets. Get that. Hey, I thought that was funny. Anyway, they snatch him up, take him to Russia. They party on the plane. He gets knocked out cold by Sponge because everybody wants to be entertained by the machine. And Bert's like 20 years past. He's over that shit. He don't want to be the machine. He want to be a good dad. He just want to be at home taking care of his kid and chilling with his wife. But now he's on the plane headed to Russia, and they want him to be the machine again because Irina needs to find her watch, her daddy's watch.
Papa.
Bert's gonna know where that's at because 20 years ago they stole it on a train.
And everything in Russia stays in stasis when you leave Russia.
Apparently.
That was a bit far-fetched that they're going to retrace their steps from 20 years ago and ultimately find the watch somehow.
Yeah. I thought it was crazy. And the way they were going about it, I was like, yeah, how is this going to end? Because there ain't no way they're about to find his watch.
Yeah. I mean, lucky. That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, well.
Enter the plot.
Yeah, you're right. Plot.
Yeah, there you go.
No quicksand, no rabies, but always plot.
And forever plot.
Yeah. That's how it goes. So the biggest point of the story is the 23-year-old Bert Kreischer is a fucking legend, man. He's all over Russia on billboards, and they made drinks after him and slogans after him because the machine. And I ain't gonna lie, I appreciated the story, and I thought that was all pretty cool. That reminded me of Idiocracy, and that's why I kind of started feeling like it might have been a little bit of overkill, but they kind of just cut it and just continued with those same things and didn't keep introducing all these the machine things. Mm-hmm. That was clever, and at least they knew when to stop before they tipped the meter too far. But that reminded me a lot of Idiocracy, just like taking over an entire region where everything kind of moves a certain way or in a different way, because everybody around there was mob. There was no I didn't see no good old wholesome bakeries or nothing around those areas. It was just machine billboards and mobster territory.
Right. Now, the only good Russians are the peasants.
The only good. I thought you said the only good mobsters. That's why I had to pause. Like, what? The only good Russians are the peasants. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's all right.
And they were funny.
They were funny, and they were loving and caring, and all of Igor's people. So they go to the dorm looking for Igor. Igor is the guy who was one of the guys that was the guy. No, Igor is the Russian. How do you say it?
Banditti.
Thank you. That sounds so Spanish. That's why I guess it just don't register in Russian to me. But yeah, Igor is one of the banditis that was in charge of protecting Bert and his class. And Fedor, who Irina already killed, even though, he's the one who really made him rob everything. He didn't know where it was, so she, shot him in the head, whatever she did, killed him immediately. But they go to the dorms to find Igor, the banditti, and he's not there. The doorman calls and alerts somebody, and then Vanya shows up. Once they get to the top of the hotel, and Bert's telling them his origin story, essentially how he became how the legend of the machine was born, which again is really just the detailed version of the joke. Mm-hmm. We find out that Vanya is coming because he also is after the watch. He tries to take Bert. He only takes him as far as the hallway before Irina goes full on Assassin's Creed on their ass and just starts like 007 James Bond, Russian Dragonfly, Black Widow, killing everybody. It was pretty crazy.
Girl boss.
Girl bossing it. There you go. Good job. I mean, she is a girl boss. That's kind of her whole thing.
Honestly, I really would have liked it better if everything was just Bert, Mr. Magooing his way out of it.
Yeah,
we get a little bit of that though.
There's a little bit. I think that those are the funniest parts of the movie is when he becomes Mr. Magoo and then all of a sudden he's just, like beating everybody. That's really funny. I like that. But,
yeah.
I did feel a little bit of tedium with, with any moment that wasn't that. And of course, like having a 130-pound woman take down, there were like 12 dudes. I mean, with guns.
Maybe a little more than 12.
Yeah.
When we're dealing in a world of reality, that's hard to swallow.
That's why I would have preferred a little bit more zaniness, because then all of that could be just sort of like, okay, fine, let's suspend our disbelief here. Everything is sort of cartoonesque. We can,
Right.
we can do that.
Right.
I was
Like
totally
Black
down
Widow
with
and
her
Marvel.
Yes, right.
I was totally down with her just snapshotting everybody with the quick trigger.
Mm-hmm.
I was.
I could have lived with that.
Yep.
I could
It
have lived with
wasn't until
that.
she turned into a superhuman. That one scene where I was like,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. It's
Now,
just
outside of her being superhuman, I'm perfectly like I actually liked her character.
Hey,
Yeah, me
don't
too.
underestimate what meth can do to you.
no, it's not meth.
You know what? I forgot. Mike has added one, but we're not adding that one to the T-shirt yet.
No.
Just something for the even meth. Meth can replace quicksand.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Think into
When
that.
you are a meth head can do all kinds of stuff, just like a crackhead can. If you know, you know.
I don't, but thanks for filling us in.
Why do you keep calling her a meth head?
Because she looked like one.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't see her do any drugs.
I thought he just.
She just looked like
that's what
one.
I thought he saw her like snore something or something.
No.
I was just
So
like,
did
all
I.
right, he caught her doing drugs, and we didn't.
No, she just looked like a meth head to me with all her teeth.
Then wait, is it the tattoo? Never mind. No. So
Why would you even ask me that? You know it's gonna go off the rails.
I have no clue. I just realized that I don't want to ask any more questions.
You can't invite him inside, Keelan.
I know. I know.
Let me in.
Look, all these damn puncture wounds. So Bert jumps. Bert is afraid, and he's like, "Oh my god, I gotta, ping!" And he headshots Vanya, and then Vanya headshots a guy, and then he headshots the other guy. 3 for 1. Bert's the man. He's back. That's right, baby.
That was my first chuckle in the movie. It was
That
funny. It was
was
funny.
the first one.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other stupid chuckles, but that was probably like the first, like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it tickled me.
And it was only funny because he said, "I'm going to shoot him in the leg," like 1 second before he shoots him square in the forehead.
Hey man, I mean the size of that pistol, he definitely didn't realize the recoil. That was
Kick, yeah.
Kickback. So we find out that that was actually Irina's brother, Vanya, and they're in a mob power struggle, so she doesn't care. That's just one person out of her way, and she really kind of thanks him in Russian by saying that he was going to shoot me. So that's thank you in Russian, as far as I know. At least that's what the movies make you think. And yeah, they move on. They get to the train to find Igor, and they do find Igor, but they don't find that Igor. They find another Igor, and
an Igor that replaced the other Igor.
The new old Igor.
Yes.
Oh, and the way that actually happens is because Bert's finally getting pissed off with his dad because it's like, yo, I don't need you talking to my wife about my personal shit, and I don't even know why you're here. Like, I'm pretty sure I told you not to come, but here they are. They're in it anyway, and he yells, "I'm the machine, goddammit!" And that's really how they find Igor, which I thought should have triggered more of a fight. But in the midst, instead, he tells the story, the sob story part of the train robbery of the machine story, where he actually ends up robbing Ashley as well, his friend. You know, that sure thing he had for the night, when instead he left with a bunch of monsters. Okay.
I mean, you don't get the movie if he doesn't leave. So
You get a different movie.
no, you don't.
Jungle Fever Part 2 or
Oh,
3.
boy.
Is there a Part 2 already?
I don't know.
There might be a Part 2 already.
I hope
But,
not. I mean,
Are you in the bathroom?
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, so Fedor comes and snatches him from being with the girl, and he goes and he parties with the Russian mobsters, and they drink and they do drugs, and he ends up getting forced to rob everybody on the train and to drink consistently to the point at which he loses control. And apparently that's when his spiral started. I started getting the notion that that was the tip of, I really lost control. It's like, oh no, that binge that he was sent on because he was forced to, it was kind of just like, oh, okay, this is fun. And then he started numbing the memories of that way. And it just worked out that he started making money while doing that. That's the notion I get. But yeah, so he missed out on the sure thing, and yeah, I don't. Oh, he talks to Irina, and she tells him the story of what happened and with the train robbery. That's what I'm missing. I was like, something just happened. Like something big happens right here. She explains to him that the motions that they made by robbing the train and robbing her father, who was just an honest salesman, turned him into a mobster, turned him into a hardened criminal. And that's how her family's empire was born. And that's why she done had a gun pointed at his head this whole damn movie. Because, you turned my dad into a bad guy. My dad was a good guy. Now I have to kill you. And thank you for killing my brother.
And apparently the watch is the MacGuffin for the siblings to find so that they can become the head of the mafia empire.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotta love the MacGuffin.
It's always, got to have something to run
It's
after.
important.
Yeah.
It's always important to have something for people to pine over.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Fedor gives the watch to Bert as a gift because that's what Russians do when they meet a new friend. Igor arrives, but again, he is the new old Igor, and that's what we find out. They have a little scuffle tuffle. Apparently, he got the tip to kill them, the okay, and it's like, oh, what you mean? Like, all right, cool. Once again, the father throws the knife in the air, and Irina goes into battle mode, catches it, slices the throat, beats up the other two dudes. And Bert goes to punch the guy and gets his whole fist. He starts fisting his neck, his whole hand stuck in his throat.
That part was hilarious.
Why is this guy still alive? But this is crazy.
Well, I thought the cut was too shallow for it to be a kill.
Yeah.
Well, for it to be a kill. And then when he punched him in the throat, I thought that was hilarious. Of all the places he could have punched that dude, he got him right in the throat, and then he fisted his whole throat, which was kind of nasty.
Yeah.
In retrospect. Right. Which made it funnier.
Crazy. But yeah, eventually they pop his hand out of his throat, and he is decapitated by a train after, Bert's big guy. He's a big guy. They went through the window, but nobody fell, luckily. So yeah, now Bert's killed 4 people.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. He's just racking up bodies on this trip. But so then Alexei arrives. Alexei is Irina's new other brother. And this whole movie is really the setup, as you realize, if you've paid attention to us telling this, for a second machine story to tell. It's pretty easy to catch early. I figured this so early into it. But as they continue through this movie, Alexei arrives. He wants to take the machine, but Irina kills. He shoots Irina and throws her off of the train. Bert ends up getting thrown off of the train by his dad, but he wakes up the next morning and eats a weed brownie, where he basically ends up having this inner moment of self-discovery, but also he's found by Igor.
Wait, a 20-year-old weed brownie.
Sorry, yes, a 20-year-old weed brownie. That should have made him definite. Like, he should have been
sick.
Salmonella or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, projectile vomiting everywhere.
It wasn't like it was vacuum sealed.
It was not. It was in a wall. With drugs, I would think that it would have absorbed some of those properties by then.
Maybe some of the drywall, maybe.
Definitely some of the drywall. Sure, it tastes like the drywall too.
Yeah, that's a tragedy.
That's a tragedy. But Bert's actually being shot at, and as he's running, he falls down a hill, and we discover that he is found by Igor. The Igor he was looking for, he was not killed by the new Igor. He simply went out into the middle of the woods, started a new village, and a family, indeed. Uh,
Probably got pushed off the train.
I think so, and he just survived.
Hmm.
We found out that Irina was also found by some ladies from that same village. They nurse her back to health, and Bert helps her out. They have dinner together. They bond.
Wait a minute.
Say it again.
Wait a minute. You're skipping over one of the few funny parts in the movie for me.
What part is that?
When they both fight off throwing up.
Oh, yeah. There was a heating issue.
That was funny to me because Igor ends up throwing up for both of them.
Yeah, I mean it's funny. I don't know if that was worth, but there was.
It was for me.
I understand.
This is all about my happiness. You won't take it away from me.
I would never dream of doing such a thing.
No.
All right, you may continue.
No. By all means, I'm just making sure I don't steal you and your happiness.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Damn right.
And
And I'm satisfied. The meth head didn't throw up.
So Igor's village, we basically see that everything that the machine did changed Igor's life. It made him want to leave the mob and become a better person. And because he became a better person, he's built this entire safety spot, this place where people can come and be away from the woes of the big cities and places like that where everybody's just killing and looting and pillaging. And I thought that was actually pretty cool. But that's also where you start getting to this whole one of the funnier parts to me, this whole turnaround situation of not just Bert, but you realize that Bert is having an effect on Irina, because she starts to share her love for Steve Urkel and how maybe Bert just needs to find some balance. Like Steve Urkel did in season 5 when he made that magic potion and he introduced Stefan Urkel. If you don't know Stefan and you don't know what's going on, I don't know how to explain it to y'all, but he was the cool, suave version of Steve Urkel, right?
Who was still a simp for Laura.
And Steve
who was
Urkel
not
is
working.
right. They were both still simps for Laura, but Steve was a nerd that women had no attraction to. Stefan gave off pheromones that attracted women. I think that's something that people do not remember about that character. Like, he actually gave off pheromones that made women swoon over him. Anyway, with that being said, the point was Steve Urkel had to find a balance between being a nerd and being a cool guy. He couldn't be both at the same time, but he had to pick and choose when. And Irina, the Russian mobster lady who loved Family Matters because then I knew that was her thing. I thought that was pretty funny, especially when a little kid pops up and goes, "Did I do that?" And she's like,
Right.
"You said it." I was like, all right, that was funny. But also, it let me know, damn, Bert really is a Steve Urkel fan. Like,
Yeah.
Come on, bro. That's heavy. So anyway, Igor ends up returning the stolen goods all to Bert and also the watch, because Igor still had the watch after all of these 20 years. And he tells him that the reason he handed him over or introduced him to the Russian mobsters like Fedor was to protect everybody. And he actually did his job. And even though Bert doesn't think he did his job because they went on this whole stealing rampage, find out that his job was to keep everybody alive and from being injured or anything like that. And that's what he actually did. So he actually did his job, even though some feelings were hurt and he had to spit in some people's faces. So this is fucking Russia.
That was fun.
I thought that was a good round tie-in to trying to paint him as this terrible person through this entire movie. Somebody else's intent, even his own intent, isn't always the most underlining point. The most underlining point is what Igor said. Nobody got hurt. Nobody died.
Right.
Well, it's easy to criticize people for the choices they do make and not the ones they don't make.
Correct.
You know?
But yeah, I actually thought that was a great way to tie that in. Now, right then and there, you could have kind of found a way to end the movie, but we had to get rid of this pocket watch, get Irina back to her people, and figure out what's going on with that because her brother's a dick. And after Bert's dad pushed him off the train, he's still with Alexei. So we got to get back to that. And they get the watch, and we find out Irina also has a soft spot because she's, you know, missing the poor people. Is that how she said it? I'm trying to say exactly how she said that.
Oh, I don't know.
I think she said, I'm going to miss the poor people or something like that. I can't, but I know it was something to the sentiment of their familial lifestyle and having not so many stresses and worries. It was like, she almost sounded like she envied them, but we didn't get too much depth on that. But they end up back in Moscow after they go through the village and everything. They go back to Moscow, and that's where her dad, not her dad. That's where Albert, Bert's dad, is. And Albert's name is, you know what I mean? Bert's name is also Albert, but that's where Bert is. Bert's father is, with Alexei. They're in Moscow. He goes and we find out that dad's super high. Bert gives him this long speech, throws the knife at him. He takes the knife and he stabs Alexei. And that kind of just spurs this big old fight scene that they must escape. It really felt like super unnecessary, but it was entertaining at the same time. What else happens? Oh, actually, it's just a bunch of fights, huh? The series of fights.
Yeah, I felt bad for Sponge. I thought he got a raw deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got a raw deal there. That's just your take on it.
Okay.
That's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he was just going the way the winds was blowing at the time.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I don't think that makes him a traitor. He was trying to survive.
Bert has his Popeye moment where chugging alcohol makes him a better fighter.
Right.
And
I feel like he should have drank at least 2 bottles for that to be believable. But so happy. But yeah, they have the big fight. He has his moment. He fights Alexei, which I thought was also interesting because how are you gonna win this one, big boy? But he doesn't. He doesn't indeed. He almost gets killed, and Irina ends up saving him by putting a gun to the back of her brother's neck. And then Daddy shows up. Everybody has to play docile for a minute. But then he starts really digging into what's been talked about through this entire movie, which is Irina couldn't possibly lead the mob because she's a woman. Which this entire movie, you've been watching her kick ass, pretty much kill everybody, protect Bert. It's all her show. Like, this whole movie is her show with Bert's name on it. And
it's kind of stole from Bullet Train.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like almost the same ending as Bullet Train. Almost.
I don't remember the full ending of Bullet Train.
Yeah. Like the girl was the daughter of the mob boss, and she was trying to impress her daddy, and like her dad didn't want to accept her because she was a girl. And,
yeah, I forgot. Yeah, damn, you're right.
Damn,
Bert. Guess wasn't that original. Still enjoyable though. That's what matters. Look, I don't think nobody getting sued, so we gonna not.
No, it's different.
Man, we gotta hurry and get these writers back so we can get some good content.
Phew, you said it, bro. I've been holding my breath.
Man,
definitely not holding my breath. So her dad gets all in her, you'll never be in charge. She's done all the work. She did everything, that was supposed to be done to become the next boss, aside from killing her brother and her father, which I felt like she should have just shot her brother in the back of the head from the beginning. But hey, live with
I didn't really get why that didn't happen either, but whatever.
Because she has to prove that she's better than the men.
Right.
If she just killed everybody, then she would be no better than the men, right?
That's called equality.
No, I'm just saying that her whole thing is that she wants to do things differently, and she's competent and she's good at what she does, but she doesn't want to be just lumped in with all the other men.
Hey man, last time I checked, if you want the golden key, you got to break the Fabergé egg.
What?
Is
I
that a
don't know. It
Willy
sounded
Wonka?
good in my head.
I have no idea what it was that from.
No, I just made that up. It sounded good in my head. I said, you know what? I'm gonna clip that. Somebody
Alright.
will be like,
Fair enough.
that was defined. Either way, but yeah, if we are looking at it for what it is, she ends up killing her father because, as he said, you gotta kill or be killed, and if you want to be on top, you gotta kill. What so you telling her to kill her brother or kill you? Which one? Maybe both.
Well, he did
Yes.
smile.
Yeah, he did smile. So I guess she knew what to do, and Alexi wasn't ready to do it. Neither were her brothers. But she pops in the abdomen, which I think he can survive from. But she pop in the abdomen and pop.
That would suck.
And he smiles and falls to his death. You said what?
I said that would really suck to survive that one.
A gut shot?
Getting shot in the stomach. Yeah, man, that's worse.
I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure it could do some damage. I don't want to.
Yeah, you bleed out more than anything.
I just realized I was thinking too hard about it. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I've seen enough movies to know that it causes like all kind of internal, like your body starts poisoning itself, basically.
Yeah, it causes a lot of damage.
Pretty
Because
crazy.
Systemic damage.
your guts just start seeping all over your insides and you turn septic.
Eesh.
Yep.
Oof.
And it's a long, painful death.
Oof.
That's why gunshots to the gut, no bueno.
Well. Ooh, wow. Ooh. Scary.
What, did
But,
this turn dark all of a sudden?
It did. It did. But this movie also got real girl power at the end, in my opinion. But hey,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then she smashes the watch.
Yes, because
What did
she
we do
realized
this
the watch was
for?
bullshit to begin with, and
Because
she's
fuck
not
that
going to carry
motherfucker.
on old traditions, as you kind of just alluded to.
But what did we do this whole movie for? Why did she kidnap anybody? Why wouldn't she just keep the watch and then be the mob boss?
Because
you know?
this movie wasn't really about Bert. This movie was about the Russian mob daughter who wanted to take over, but Daddy was never going to give her the power because she's a girl, and she didn't know that until she did everything because she believed that Daddy would be fair if she proved she was better than the boys. But because that didn't happen, Bert realized, damn, what's going on with me and my daughter ain't that bad. Maybe I should just be nice. And
Well,
stay
she
alive.
told him that already.
But like the watch is a family heirloom. Why would you destroy your own family heirloom?
Because fuck daddy.
Yeah,
Aye.
Yeah.
it's not worth anything anymore.
It
To
is
her.
still worth something to the family.
I agree. Because I'm thinking
But
like
fuck-
the family's
but fuck the
bigger than
family.
the four of y'all, right?
Okay, gotcha. So she's never gonna have any family or anybody she cares about. She's just
No.
gonna be the leader of a mob syndicate and kill people and be really super awesome.
You-
about it.
Not to be funny, but I'm guessing you guys don't know too many meth heads.
Oh my god, with the meth head thing, man. It's because she's white and has high cheekbones doesn't mean she's a meth head.
I'm straying away from
Uh-huh.
you to give us more
Uh-huh.
details on this meth head thing, but
He
jeez.
can't because if he does, he's gonna get us demonetized.
It's true. It's true.
And I'm just saying the way she looked.
No, I'm
Yes,
just saying
we know.
what you
I
saying.
didn't go into details.
I'm just saying
You
what
don't
you
need
saying.
to.
You can't be saying this. You're saying Angelina Jolie in 2004.
See, and you giving me a hard time? He dropping big names.
I'm dropping news headlines. This ain't new.
Hey, I don't know that.
So Bert ends up going back home. His dad goes back to Florida. We realize that they've bonded. They've become friends. Him and Irina had a nice little bonding move, and they even hugged. Because, hugging is for pussies until you kill your father, and then... That part, I was so confused when she went to hug him. I was like, wait, I thought hugging was... So we really changing the guard now. But that's what really started making me think like, oh, this is a real... This movie ain't even about Bert. This is about her. Then we go back home. Bert says hey to the daughter. She says, I'm sorry. He says, I'm sorry. The wife comes out. He loves on his wife. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. We also see that he did the commercial for his dad at the end of it all too.
Mhm.
You
All
already
is
know
well.
what I'm gonna say.
Look, all is well. That's how this movie ends. All is well.
All's well that ends okay.
You know what, Keelan?
Huh?
Don't even give me no screen time. You know what I'm gonna say.
You know
Don't
what
even
I'm
give
saying.
me no screen.
You know what I'm saying. Don't even do
Right.
it. But yeah, that's the end. That's where this movie ends. And that's pretty much the clip by clip. There are major pieces, missing from the descriptions that we just gave, but I felt like I kind of could have skipped more in this run through, if I'm being totally honest. But I was rolling, and I felt like it was keeping us on track. So yeah.
To be fair, the movie's longer than it really needs to be. It's
I
at
was
least
fine
30
with the
minutes
length.
longer than it needs to be.
I was
It's
fine
2
with the
hours.
length of time. I didn't have a problem with how long it was.
I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying that it's longer than it needs to be.
Yeah, I think it could have been trimmed a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
I can't think of any scenes off the top of my head that I would just yank out, but I do understand
The
if it were
pillow
an hour
talk
and
scene that
35,
they
I don't
have.
think it would change anything.
The pillow
The
talk
birthday
scene.
party.
The birthday party. Yeah.
The birthday party, yeah.
DJ
The pillow talking
Chemo.
was important for Urkel. For at the end when she killed her dad and she goes, "Did I do that?" Like, oh, whoa, hey.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, I don't know. That's a
That's not
5 minute. That's a 5 minute setup for a line that's not even that funny at the end. I don't know
Right.
why
And
she's doing
why
that.
it was funny to me is because Bert apparently has never seen it in the movie, so it's
Right.
like I really gotta go watch this Family Matters thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's
How
like,
does he not know?
It's like that's not how it works. I promise.
Man, Urkel was the biggest thing in the 90s. I remember very clearly.
Yeah.
Wait,
Biggest-
You mean Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yeah.
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 Exactly. That's exactly it.
Did I do that? Yeah, you
What's so
did.
funny, Mike, is you asked that question, and my only question for you is, really? How could you not know? You understand the joke they're making there.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Don't even give me no screen time.
You already know what I'm gonna say.
You already know what I'm gonna say. I don't even know why you gave me the. Never mind. Love that movie.
Yeah, we gonna
Shout
have
out
to do
3
that
Stacks.
one. We gonna have to do that one and share that with the audience.
Shout out 3 Stacks on that one.
So, final thoughts. Extra thoughts.
Hilarious.
No, nothing extra, to be honest. I think we've
Yeah.
covered most of the big beats of the movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's, I guess, can be a part of my final thoughts for sure. My issue with reviewing something like this is almost like reviewing the stand-up itself. There's so much of it that just goes without discussion, and then the additions are what we're left to talk about, because either whether you think it's a true story or a fake story or a false, or however you want to look at that, this story's kind of already been narrated a few times in different ways, different mediums. So by it being turned into a movie, it's just another iteration of the narration. So it's like, oh, how did we feel about him telling that story that he told? But yeah, for the most part, it's how they played it out, and that's really what we're talking about, how they played it out. But yeah, I was thinking, like, I guess it's shit good or bad. Shit good, shit bad. Shit good, shit bad. That's it. But
I think it's funny.
I think there's a lot of wasted opportunity here. Why wasn't Joe Rogan new old Igor? Why wasn't Tom Segura in it? Why wasn't Christina Pajitsky in it? Why wasn't whatever her name is?
Because then it really would.
Why wasn't Theo Von one of the Russian guys? I mean, like, there's so many people that you could put into this movie that would have made it much more like enjoyable. You could have had cameos of all of your friends, and you didn't put them in here.
But then it costs more money.
They're your friends. You
Right.
don't think that they would sit there for maybe 4 hours? They can sit for 4-hour podcasts, but they can't come on set for 4 hours and shoot
It's not genuine.
No. I'm sorry. You can't have you can't be a
Shenanigans.
part of the biggest comedic podcast cast network and then make a movie that doesn't have your friends in it. That's
In
very
defense,
strange.
I don't think any of them have really worked together outside of the podcast medium. I don't think any of them tour together.
But they don't
Like,
need to tour together.
maybe-
They're all at
maybe
Joe
back in the
Rogan's
day,
club all the time. They
No,
see each other all the time. They hang out all the time. Tom and him have a podcast.
I agree.
I
would
just
love
don't
for them
get
to
why
make a
they.
movie together. I don't know.
Not one of them was in a cameo. The only person who did a cameo was his actual wife.
Yeah.
Is that the actual wife?
The actual wife was the neighbor at the party that just got divorced.
Oh,
Fucking bitch.
Yeah.
oh, that's his actual wife.
Mhm,
That makes that even funnier.
mhm.
He was extra rude to her for no reason.
Well, because he wanted to say "F you, bitch" at his wife,
Right.
and have it be immortalized in a movie. Yeah.
Clearly.
Get a husband, Carol, or whatever her name was.
Mhm.
Damn.
I'm sorry, but seeing Joe Rogan play a Russian mobster would have been the best.
I think those would be good additions. I just don't know if it would have made the movie better.
You mean playing himself?
It most certainly would have made the movie better. Are you kidding me?
Hey, we were just dragging Judd Apatow. Can we really say it would make the movie better?
Yeah. This
Or
is
in
the
10
end
years,
is
this
only
would
good
be the
because it
next
has so
Judd
many
up the next
cameos in it.
Say it again.
This is the end is only good because it has so many cameos in it.
Yeah.
And like that's what makes that movie good.
Yeah. Watching Michael Cera get impaled on a cocaine joke was pretty funny.
Right.
Oh, the one where they're at the New Year's party. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a minute. I was like, this is the end. Have I seen that one?
Yeah, that's the one where the world ends and Danny Masterson does some unspeakable things to G.I. Joe.
Channing Tatum. Yeah.
Why do we?
Yeah.
Why,
I said it the way I said
why
it
do
for
we
a
give you
reason.
So much time. Why do we give you so much time? Like, I don't know. It's just start talking over Mike when he's like, you know what? It sounds like he's gonna say something.
Because you can't use the Spanish flea thing.
That's true. That's true. They kept zapping us for that.
But yeah, so I guess we can get into our ratings for this. Again, I didn't dislike this movie. I liked it quite a bit. I expected a little bit more from it. I might be the middle of the road and not the high end on this, but we'll find out.
You know,
Mhm.
you know. To be fair, I don't even like comedy movies for the most part.
Get off my stoop.
I really don't anymore because I don't think most of them are funny. This
They're
one
not.
actually made me chuckle.
Listen, okay, watch this. Y'all remember the movie Sprung?
Stupid.
Do you remember the movie?
Yeah, for the most part.
Nick, you ever see the movie Sprung?
I don't think so.
Okay. It's a B-rated Joe Torre flick, right? Joe Torre, Tisha Campbell. I can't remember the other two actors in it right now. But that movie, if it came out today, would be over the top comedy. Like it'd be risque. And there's nothing risque in that movie, in my opinion.
Right.
That's why comedy can't be funny, because even comedies that couldn't really get recognized but were still somewhat enjoyable back in the day, those would be too far. So the ones that actually made box office, you can't even make that. You can't make those shits again. Like PBS is the funniest you can get nowadays.
Yeah, I just think that I think there might be a little bit of that, but also too, I think it's just difficult because there is no comedic movement outside of what we just were shown. Like the only comedic movement that's happening right now, and that's why I said it would have been nice to have more cameos from these people because they are the comedic movement right now. There are podcasts, their community, they're the only ones trying to innovate in the comedy scene. You know, obviously there are a lot of stand-up comics out there, but I mean, like they're the most prominent people. They have the most eyeballs on them right now. And so, yeah, I just don't think that there is a coherent idea of what funny movies can be anymore. I don't think that there is a mechanism for them to be, you know, because what might have been funny in like the 2010s certainly isn't funny now. What was funny back in the 90s certainly isn't funny now. So what is funny now?
Trauma.
I mean, South Park.
Not even
Watching
South Park
woke
saved the
failures.
slide.
Yeah, no, trauma. Trauma is funny now.
Ew. Well,
It's super
I don't
ill.
want that.
What's funny is something else to mention is we also just sat through a 2-hour Burt Kreischer joke.
Mhm.
Like this is literally, like I said through the review, this is really just the Machine 2.0.
It's a dramatization of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I never heard it before.
Really? Did you watch it when I sent you the clip?
No. No. I had already seen previews, so I already knew it was going to be funny.
Oh,
I had saw like a couple of a few of the trailers on YouTube.
go watch the stand-up clip.
Right.
There's a reason. There is a differentiation. If his energy in telling the clip or telling the story, and think of sitting with that for say 15 years, 10 years, it's interesting to me. The correlation in the way this is told versus the way he tells it on stage, it's interesting. But also, I have a thing where I enjoy storytellers and comics, and he's one of the guys that can kind of do both. So.
Yeah, I'm turning into a crotchety old man. I don't do humor anymore.
I'm over explaining at the same time. So who you're turning into, who I'm turning into, who's counting, who's calling it. All these labels and titles. Get that up off me.
Yeah.
So we should be counting it.
Just counting what now?
The movie.
7.
We haven't gotten to our ratings yet.
You're right. Counting no. I'm like, wait, counting what? Huh?
Yeah.
That's fair.
We get the numbers in.
I'm giving this a 6.5. Yeah, I'm giving this a 6.5. I didn't dislike it by far, but it is a modern comedy. I thought it was funny, but that's because I also think the person who is in the movie is funny. And the context on the jokes and all of that kind of stuff following. Mark Hamill is Mark Hamill. I think it's cool to get Mark Hamill in it, but with getting Mark Hamill in it, I piggyback off of what Nick said. You could have probably gotten the people who we actually wanted to see in the movie. Simultaneously, I don't have a problem with not getting them originally, but only because I think I don't see a lot of the comedians in today's comic world. It's really weird to say it this way, but when they do things outside of the self-owned properties, like possibly touring or doing their podcast, things like that, they typically don't work together.
So they're just full of shit when they say that they're a community and that they all help each other and all that. They don't mean it.
Yeah, I think up until the Hollywood door, yeah.
If I was Bird, I'd be offended. I'm sure he asked some of them. I'm sure he asked Tom Segura. Tom Segura didn't even go to the premiere.
Oh,
yeah.
Send me that article. That's crazy.
I take your word for it.
I mean, and what's crazy is I didn't even know it came out back in May. I thought it may have come out like in September. So this has been floating around for a minute, and I hadn't heard many other people talking about it either. But that's what I think is weird, and that's why when you bring that up, I'm like, I get it. I'm just not quite sure where that has grounds or feet to run with in this era of business people who happen to also be funny.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, it would seem that maybe business is. I mean, I don't know. It would be more important, maybe, but like there's so many ensemble comedies where people just make splash cameos. I'm thinking like if you don't want to do the Judd Apatow ones, you can look at like things like all of the what's his name, Will Ferrell movies or the Adam Sandler movies. Like there's so many actors that
But
have.
I say Will Ferrell movies are still Judd Apatow adjacent.
They are adjacent, yes, but they usually have a different subset of actors that make cameos and stuff. And same thing with the Adam Sandler movies. There's always, Steve Buscemi's been in almost every one of them, and he's a major actor. It's like, I don't know how much he's asking to get paid from Adam Sandler, but like I would assume that they're friends. And
Right.
like
Don Cheadle might even pop up in an Adam Sandler movie. You're right.
Yeah, right. So like I just think that there was an opportunity here to make like a gigantic inside joke for a massive audience that, like if you count up Kreischer, Rogan, Thea Vaughn, Tom Segura, if you count up all their audiences, like that's a big audience. That's a lot of people that listen. There's crossover, obviously, but there's a lot of people there.
I'd say you're north of 5 billion.
5 billion, maybe. I mean, with Joe Rogan, definitely.
I'm gonna say Joe puts you over 2.5 easy.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what his worldwide numbers are, but
I would think they're in the billions.
Maybe, but like that's all to say. Like there could have been an ensemble cast instead of having Mark Hamill, which just felt kind of like Luke Skywalker. Okay,
right. Actually, no, probably right at $1 billion. I just realized what I was doing in my head, and that was incorrect. Probably about $1 billion. You put all of them together, you probably be coming up on $1 billion.
Maybe, yeah, it's possible. I mean, they, like there's a lot of them, and they all have pretty big audiences, so. It's not like they couldn't get a draw if they were all in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to watch it. We watched it already. If they were all in it, probably would have watched it a little sooner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It probably would have got a bigger splash when it first dropped.
It would have.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but again, for me, I, being a fan, I didn't even expect this to actually come out. So that in itself is like, oh, snap. Okay. And maybe that's what they were banking on, is catching the shock of it all. But I guess she wanted to get the story out there, and it's a Netflix thing too. And that's why I said what I said about the money. Like, it's Netflix. I don't know if you could do that with Netflix, if that makes sense.
This came out in theaters. Yeah, this came out in theater.
This wasn't Netflix originally.
Right.
This was not a Netflix exclusive.
Look, you're right. It didn't do before. Yeah, you're right. Anyway, well, Nick, what was your rating again? I missed it.
I didn't give it. What was Mike's?
7.
That was me. I gave it 7.
Okay, you gave it 7. Okay, you slipped it in. That's why I didn't even, pause. Thanks. Anyways, I'm giving this a 5. I think it's okay. It's not bad. It's it's an enjoyable movie. I don't necessarily think it's incredibly funny, but again, to beat a dead horse, I just don't know if comedies are possible nowadays. I think there are moments when Bert Kreischer was Mr. Magooing his way through things that I found entertaining. Like that was funny. There were moments that were funny, but as far as anything else going on here, there's not really a whole lot more notable stuff. I didn't necessarily believe the chemistry between Mark Hamill and Bert Kreischer. It felt like they just met each other. But they're supposed to be father-son, which I guess could be fine, but it's not like it was like a father you never spoken to or anything. It was just one that annoys you. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a 5. It's not a bad movie in any respect. I think that it could have been better, but it's not awful at all. So
yeah, no, hey, again, we all watched it. We all made it to the end. None of us just said we wish we didn't watch it. So
that's true. Yeah.
With that being said, this has been our review, standing at about a 6.2, 6.3, something like that. This has been our review of the 2023 film, The Machine. That's right. The adaptation of the Bert Kreischer stand-up routine, The Machine, has come to your Netflix. Go ahead and check that out. We just did. We also just reviewed it, and we appreciate you guys for hanging out here with us. By all means, now is that time to go ahead, take a look at your screen, take a look at all of the shows we have here. If you have been here before, you already know what's going on. If you have not been here, We appreciate you guys. Please check out everything on the screen. If you can only hear us, maybe you're rolling down the street, maybe you're sitting at work, you got one pod in, got the other ear open so you can hear somebody if they need something from you. Not sure. Hear the boss come and take that other pod out. However it works out for you. Go ahead and check out these shows. The shows we have are going to be rolling for you. Oh no, that was it.
Okay.
The shows we have are going to be rolling for you all week. We always will have something new for you. We are always trying to bring content. We are always going to stay with new stuff. I mean, hey, you hear us. We like it. We love it. We want some more conversation to converse about. And I tried. But yeah, we appreciate you guys for tuning into the Screen Time Continuum on this wonderful Sunday for the Screen Time Continuum. My name is Keelan.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Mike.
We appreciate you guys. And oh my God. Oh, that's right. Wow. I forgot that's the thumbnail we were using.
We like it. We love it. We want some more of it.
Oh, whoa.